Myne is certainly a curious girl. Even isekai tomfoolery aside, her life as Urano is only a smidge less peculiar. I mean, I like books. What she feels about them is on another level entirely. In her past life, she's described as spending literally almost every waking moment reading, and literally is used correctly here. She read them while bathing, or even during walks, eyes on the page instead of the road. She loved the weathered vanilla smell only an old book could provide, as well as the crisp, clean smell of a new one. Hell, in case you needed more evidence, she at the very least had enough books to crush her to death, and then some. While we're shown this love of books, and Lord knows she certainly has no problem reminding people, we're never actually given clear reasoning as to why. She just likes them. There is never any impassioned speech or in-depth exploration of her thoughts other than the odd couple of comments. But you know, I don't quite think there has to be. I think Ascendance of a Bookworm, henceforth just called Book, does a fine enough job making the case for books through Myne's characterization as well as its structure. We can tell how much she likes books because, well, she tells us incessantly, yes, but also by how she approaches each situation and obstacle she encounters. And as Myne works her magic, both figuratively and literally, we see how drastically the world can change. In episode 4, Myne gives Lutz a brief explanation as to why she values books. She says they prevent things from floating away, gradually over time. You can preserve thoughts, ideas, and events, so you can read them however many times you'd like. With books, we can learn the thoughts of people long past, or of worlds far away, and surpass what any of us can experience in our single lives. Ultimately, what Myne values in books is the preservation and easy access to knowledge. She couldn't care less about what their genres, targeted demographics, and structures were. She just likes knowing things. Each book read is a smaller step towards increasing her understanding of the world. She slowly but surely walks in the direction towards enlightenment. Myne's love of books and pursuit of knowledge manifests itself in ways other than simply parroting how much she likes books. We can see this most clearly in how she approaches making them in the first place. Unlike in similar shows such as Dr. Stone, Myne isn't particularly bright. I mean, she certainly is a genius. For a 5-year-old, she admits herself that for her actual age of 20 or so, she's probably just average. Don't get me wrong, she has an above-average grasp of history and miscellaneous crafts, but she can't rattle off the chemical composition of para-acetamidobenzene sulfonic acid off the top of her head like Senku can. Instead, she utilizes her wide base of knowledge as starting points for the answer she seeks. How do you make books? Well, how did they make them to start? Do I have the requisite materials or the means to get them? If not, what else is available to me? She goes through this algorithm over and over again, tweaking when necessary, sometimes making it relatively far down a path, only to have to start over from the beginning. However, one can learn a lot from watching those moments. Sure, Myne can sometimes channel her physical age and throw the odd tantrum. But what does she do after? She sets off anew, combining her past failures with current experience to start a new plan of attack. Egyptians used papyrus, but they probably had better materials than twigs at their disposal. The ancient Mesopotamians used clay tablets, but they get stepped on, washed away, and shatter upon baking. No problem, in ancient China they used wooden planks. But for those you need ink. They have ink here, but it's too expensive. How can we make our own? I find this mentality towards failure to be remarkably admirable, and it's part of the reason why I think Myne shines as a character. She clearly doesn't have all the answers, but she accepts that and tries anyway. She embodies the very concept of resilience, working tirelessly towards a goal and trying different avenues when things don't work. When she finally arrives at a favorable outcome, she iterates upon it, slowly but surely refining it into a quality product. It goes to show that failure is not something to look down on, but rather a valuable piece of knowledge at your disposal. It is only because Myne's penchant for procedural progress, changing one variable at a time and discovering what doesn't work, that she is able to succeed. At least to me, it's also a clear reflection of her love of books being reflected through her character. Just as she is happy to read up on any subject at all, so long as it adds to her overall knowledge base, she is also perfectly okay suffering through trial and error because she knows it all gets her closer to that one thing she must have. It is marrying both traditional intelligence with her own industriousness and creativity. Myne is living proof at how reading books can improve your life and affect your thought process. This willingness to learn from failure, iterative nature, and candid approach to conflict reflects itself way beyond the simple trial and error of Myne's bookmaking. Throughout the show, she also has to deal with a number of interpersonal conflicts, and a lot of the enjoyment I get from watching book is seeing Myne improve herself in the same manner that she improves her books. Myne is often unaware of how she comes across to her friends and family. It's not surprising that sometimes she can get a little swept up in her singular goal of making books reality. But as a result, she can inadvertently harm those she has grown to cherish. Thule shows us as such when Myne's absent-minded basket weaving makes her feel upset and less of an older sister. However, Mom isn't there to save her when Lutz eventually questions her massive personality change. While obviously distressed, Myne doesn't back away or make up some clever lie to fool him. She might not even have it in her to do so. Instead, she comes clean, communicating clearly to him about what she thinks happened, and more importantly, how she feels about it. It is this sincerity that leads to Lutz calming down and coming to terms with this new Myne. How Myne addresses these failures of communication mirrors how she goes about all her other projects. She faces them head on, honestly and earnestly, learning for the future while avoiding the trap of dwelling on the past. She again recognizes her failing and self-centeredness when she eventually has to deal with Gil, calmly accepts responsibility, and seeks to correct the situation. It is through this experience that she learns how to gain the favor of Fran and Delia, and it is by befriending them that she is able to do more work bettering the orphanage. She gives people chances, offers incentives, and rewards people for their work. Myne constantly fine-tunes things, whether that be her books, managerial approach, or relationships, focusing on what works and what doesn't to improve bit by bit. It is the power of perseverance. We've gone through a lot of examples, but the scene that I believe best shows this facet of Myne happens in the Season 2 finale. We finally get to see what in the world Ferdinand was doing all the way back in Season 1, Episode 1. Myne shares with him where her love of books came from, and the world that's just as alien to him as this one is to her. But they ultimately come across her relationship with her mother. She is forced to watch herself rebuke and disrespect someone she may never see again. Someone who, with all her heart, she loves and aches to return to. She professes through tears that she never got to apologize. She never got to say goodbye. To a lot of people, it would be a crushing experience, and it certainly seems that way to Ferdinand, who is overwhelmed by her shared emotions. But you know what Myne does? She hugs and thanks Ferdinand for his help in seeing her mother one last time. Then she goes home and hugs each and every one of her new family, telling everyone how much she loves them. Myne is someone who refuses to allow past mistakes and failures define who she is. Rather, they are valuable bookmarks for becoming a better person. Thanks for watching. Originally, the script had a bit more to it, including some things about how knowledge is power and how Myne might inadvertently be dismantling the existing class structure just through her seemingly harmless love of books. However, I just thought the current ending was so pretty that I wanted to leave it at that. I hope you'll forgive me. If you completely disagree with me and think book sucks, oh boy have I got a channel for you. Take a look at this video and subscribe to Jack and Core while you're at it. If you liked the video, please click the like button. It's the easiest way to support the channel and tells YouTube that this is a video worth watching. Subscribe to the channel to get updates on when I upload, and if you want to support me even further, you can donate to my Patreon. Special thanks to Crisps, Harry, Mr. President, You May Lull Sir, Homestuck, Fun One Talon, Killing Spree, and Irvo M for their support. And of course, if anything I said is wrong, I'm sorry. I must have stuttered.